I've beaten death. I made a living thing.
Benedict Cumberbatch and Johnny Lee Miller in this electrifying stage production.
I will not rest until I desolate your hearts!
Frankenstein, directed by Danny Boyle.
Welcome to The Interval. I hope you're enjoying the show. Before the second act, which is going to start in a few minutes, it's an absolute honour to introduce you to the author of the play, the multi-award-winning David Hare. Hello, David.
Hello.
So, how does it feel to have Skylight back on in the West End 18 years after the last production?
I just have no sense at all of 18 years having passed. It's mysterious to me. I assume everybody's seen this play because it seems to me it was only on yesterday, but of course it was 1996.
Is it the same as it was then? Is it different? Is it better? Is it worse?
Well, people keep telling me how relevant it is, and I'm vaguely insulted because I thought it was fairly relevant at the time, you know.
It was, when you first wrote it was completely of its moment. Politically, it was of its moment. Socially and culturally, it was of its moment. 18 years later, it feels incredibly relevant to me. But how is that possible? Because everything's changed so much.
Well, the reason I wrote it was because we just had 15 years of governments telling us that the only people who mattered in society were entrepreneurs and that people who were doing public jobs like teachers and doctors and nurses didn't matter and that they weren't productive. And so we'd had 15 years of governments like that, and hello, we've just had 4 years of another government like that. So it seems fairly relevant.
I'm not sure the audience agree with that. It's funny and it's moving and it's sad. What was your mission when you set out to write it? What were you trying to do with it?
Well, I'd written a lot of big historical plays with lots of characters in them that were about the sweep of society, and I really just wanted to be in a room with two people. And I'd been a playwright for probably 25 years, and I'd never written a play in a room. And so I wanted to write a love story involving three people, the son as well. And I wanted to get closer to people than perhaps I had in previous plays.
Do you feel you did it? Are you happy with it? When you watch it, do you think, oh, yes, this really works? Or do you think, oh, I should have changed that?
It's very difficult. There's something Cyril Connolly called the 10-year test, and he said if a play survives, or a work of a novel survives more than 10 years, then there must be something to it.
What about Stephen Daldry as a director? Because you direct a lot of your own plays, so it must be in itself quite strange having another great director coming in and directing your work. How does he work for you?
Stephen, well, we did The Hours together, we did The Reader together, we did Via Dolorosa together, we did two monologues I wrote called Berlin and Wall together. So he actually taught me to act. I acted for the first time at the age of 50. And so I had to trust somebody to teach me to act. Often at rehearsal, I thought possibly it was a big wind-up and that he was telling me to do things that would humiliate me on the first night. But he turned out to be in good faith, it turned out.
Are you pleased with what he's brought to this?
Stephen's just one of the greatest directors in the world. Everybody knows that. And this play couldn't be better done than it is with this cast of three, with Matthew and Carey and Bill. and Stephen's production, which is just gorgeous, and I love looking at it.
Is he a better director than you are? He asked me to ask you that.
Yeah. He's a much, much better director than me, but he can't write for toffee.
I won't tell him you said that. Bill Nye played this role 18 years ago. Is he better now, or has he gone off the boil a bit?
Yeah, no, come on, Bill. Bill, again, Bill's been in 10. I've worked 10 times with Bill. He's been my life. Since we first worked together in 1979. And I was the first person, actually, to cast him as a romantic lead, because up till then he'd always been a character man. But I thought there was something rather romantic about him. And happily, the public has agreed with me.
Is he... I'd never noticed it before, but you're quite similar. Is he sort of your alter ego?
I don't think in any way, no. But on the other hand, if you work with the same actor 10 times, something's right between you, isn't it?
So last night, this play was put on in front of 700 people. Tonight, it's on in front of hundreds and thousands of people. What's that like for the playwright?
Well, it's something I really wanted to do. I just feel so strongly that touring theatre has declined in this country. If I could, I'd have tours out all the time of my work. And the fact that I can't get my plays seen around the UK is incredibly frustrating to me. You know, you do a run in the West End, it lasts 3 or 4 months, people who are in London see it, but people all over the country miss out on theatre. And so for me, this NTLive is the coming of a dream. I insisted that as soon as the play was to be revived, that it had to be part of NTLive, and that was more or less a condition for me, because I want people to see the play.
It's a great thrill to have it as part of our roster of plays this summer, and it's a real pleasure to talk to you, David Hare. Thank you very much indeed.
Let's see what happens now.
I really hope you enjoy the rest of the production. Have a very good night. Good night.